Welcome to the Coco Lesa podcast. Response was this. Okay, we talk about my people, we talk about systemic oppression, right? So what is a man to do when he has little to no education from a low income school? And then because he has no education or poor education from a school that's not accredited and not valued, he can't go on to secondary school. And if he can, then it's a low-quality secondary school. And so he can't get high-quality, high-paying jobs. And so he has to live in a low-income area. And then his kids have to go to the same schools. Exactly. And so our alternative to that is to create schools of our own where we get the curriculum and the education and the understanding that we deserve and we need so that we can build up our communities and become business owners and educators and build our own instead of having to go to someone else to get what we need and having to beg for a seat at somebody else's table. We can build our own table. And that's the point about having this conversation when it comes to education, because everything starts at the beginning, and there's things that's too late for us that is not too late for our kids.
Yeah, but that's not to be like a pessimist.
Nah, go ahead.
But that's like, in my mind, that is not the tomorrow. Like, there's so many steps that we need to accomplish before we get to that stage of having our own schools. Like, within our own
what's the first
schools,
step?
There needs a lot of like.
You know what's the first step?
What?
This conversation right here. That's the whole point of us doing what we're doing. Having this conversation. Having these conversations for all the people that don't have it and spreading it to our homes. Mm-hmm. And then creating other people having that conversation. We're saying, you know what? Well, why can't we have this? Let's get to this. Okay? Because we are business owners. You know what I mean? And we have that. But we have to get better at that. Like, so generational planning that's not realistic, that you don't believe is going to happen, is trash. Everything that we're talking about, everything that we're trying to build is all stuff that I want yesterday. And it's all stuff that I'm trying to build right now. And I don't give a shit who's trying to help me. And that's the energy and the mindset that we have to have. Because if you don't think it's going to happen, if you don't think it's realistic, and you don't think it's doable, then it's not going to happen. And that's exactly how the Palangi want us to feel, and what they want us to think, and where they want us to be. Jay-Z just had this conversation in his Tidal interview, okay? And he said when he left the company to start all of his own label, people were like, you're crazy. What's the dude's name, the basketball player's father? LeVar, never mind, I gotta remember, you're trash. LeVar Ball. People were like, why don't you get a deal with Jordan? Why don't you get a deal with Nike? You're gonna try and build your own sneaker? Our people are so horrible when it comes to encouraging someone to do for themselves. We're always teaching and encouraging each other to eat at somebody else's table and to get put on by the white people. And no, if that's your mindset, no, you're never going to build anything for yourself. And you're always going to be like, oh yeah, no, that's the goal, to get here and get this. No, teach our kids to create their own businesses. And you can't think about that as a place of privilege. That has to be the goal. That has to be the realistic standard. Just like the mindset that I tweet about all the time. I bust my ass every day so she never ever has a white boss. That's realistic. That's achievable. But part of that is teaching her to be a business owner and creator. Part of that is being that ourselves, so that we're not just talking about that. And if you're not thinking about that as realistic, then you're failing already. You feel me? And that's where we lose, because all of these battles, all of these situations happen, are fought, or won before you ever walk out your door.
But yeah, I can agree with all that. I really can. Like, that is the goal, to have brown and black businesses, have our own people supporting these brown and black businesses. But like when you have white people dominate the mic, it's like that saying, they hold the mic right now, they need to pass the mic. It's like, we can't.
That's the wrong way to think about it. I'm not trying to shut down what you're saying, and I'm not disputing that what you're saying is accurate in many ways. But listen, okay, I played a video for you, and I've even edited that video and put it in the other podcast. And again, it's Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he's talking about a situation over the course of 40 to 30 years. And he's like, when our brother was alive and we marched in 1950 whatever, the cry was jobs and justice, right? And then 20 years later, in 1970, when we marched on the government again, what was the cry? Jobs and justice. Don't make me say it alone again, right? In 2010, when they had the anniversary of the Million Man March and they marched on Washington, what was the cry? Jobs and justice. You're making me look like a clown, son, but it's okay, right? And you know what the brother minister says after he talks about over 60 years of trying to get Palongi and the government to give us jobs and justice? How long are we going to wait for other people to give us what we can do for ourselves and give to ourselves? The conversation that you just had with your younger sister is how the only time politicians come to talk to us is during election year. Okay? We have money to spend. We have votes to give. We have the opportunity and the ability to be decision makers. What we lack is the opportunity, and in many cases the education, which is why we are having this conversation right now. And if we don't take ourselves seriously and our ability to make change without waiting for somebody else to do for us, to give to us, to give us the opportunity, then it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. I feel the way about this conversation, but
I can tell. No, but I agree. I sincerely agree that this is how.
Then you gotta let go of that mindset, and that's not even just you. I'm not even coming for you, but I love that we're having this conversation. I love that you have the views that you have, and I love that you push back on what I'm saying the way you do, because this is not just you that thinks like this. This is, it's not an insult.
All right.
This is the majority of people in our community that think like this. It's like, yeah, I agree, and we can do this, and we should do this, but there's always a but.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is, like, the single mom that's feeding, like...
I get that.
You really think she's thinking about, we need our own schools, you think that's what she's
And this is why
that's why we need young innovators, like people who have the opportunity to do this, but...
Who you think I'm talking to? Who you think we're talking to? This is why your view and your opinion matters so much, because there are a lot of people getting hyped right now listening to this, saying the same things that you're saying, feeling the same way that you're feeling, you know? And we are not looking over them. But again, this makes this conversation that much more important, because there are people who can be there for those young moms, who can take the opportunities that are out there and change the situation for their babies. And the difference between them doing it is not doing it is they're stuck in that place where mentally they're like, one person doesn't make a difference. I can't do this. There's no opportunities. There's no this. There's no that. You know what I mean? So if none of us believe we can, who's making a difference for us? Yeah. Who's creating those spaces? This show, this conversation is about us creating that space. Mm-hmm. Because if you're able to talk from a place of privilege, then you have a responsibility to make it easier for other people to do that. Mm-hmm. And so niggas got Twitter accounts, and then everybody popped off on Twitter. People got Facebook, and everybody pops up on Facebook. So what's the next point? We got a podcast, and we're one of the first Pacifica and Pacific Islanders and Polynesian podcasts out there, now other people can get podcasts. And we continue to grow and let and explore these opportunities and make spaces for our people and get as live and as big as we can and make way and room for other people to do this.
Alright, you have any more talking points?
Yeah. Like, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about, don't leave, you trying to shut me down? Nah,
I'm not trying.
Trying to keep the conversation moving in school. All right, so we just took a quick wine break. We're back now. I got my cup. Only one of us, because, she's feeding.
Is that mine?
It's mixed. It's yours and mine mixed together. It's ours. So something that I need to clarify is I'm not just speaking to Pacific Islanders, and it is wrong just to gear there, because we're more than that as a family. We're a mixed family, you know what I mean? We're Afro-Latino, we're black, we're Afakasi, we're all of those things, and so we're talking to all of our people, black and brown. And these talking points apply to all of our people, black and brown. But part of the reason that I gear the conversation the way I do is because we're in South Auckland, you know what I mean? So we're talking to Aotearoa, we're talking to Hawaii, we're talking to Australia, we're having all of these conversations, But so I guess my last talking point for this episode is, I guess it comes back to privilege and opportunity. Like, one of the most important things for us that makes our own schools and homeschools so important is again the quality of the education that you're getting. We are very lucky to have the privileges that we have. And so as soon as we started looking at schools for her, we started looking at Montessori schools. But I can guarantee you, very few people in South Auckland, because there's so few of them here, no matter what their background, even know what a Montessori school is.
Listen,
yeah.
Early childcare in itself is expensive.
Yo, I understand.
And when you're living in one of the most expensive cities in the world, Montessori is the least of your, what's on your mind.
I get that. So let's explain what Montessori is. So Montessori is a style of education that helps your children be very advanced very early. It teaches them independence. It teaches them independent thinking skills and learning skills. It teaches them how to take care of themselves and be a part of a community sooner. It teaches them how to interact with other people and other kids, not just their age, but within a 3-year age difference, so they have the confidence and the strength to become leaders and operate on an advanced level early. There was this one lady, her 2-year-old was in a Montessori school, and her 5-year-old was in a public school, and they were learning the exact same curriculum. And she was like, when you realize it's time to take your kids out of public school. You know what I mean? And this is part of the difference and the gap between us and the Palangi, and why they have so many more opportunities, because they've created a space for themselves where they have the freedom and the opportunity to put their kids in Montessori school, when so many of our people have never even fucking heard of Montessori,
Yeah, but I don't want our people to feel like...
I don't either. That's why
we're
we're sending...
horrible that they're sending their kids to public school.
No.
It's...
Yo, this is not...
The difference between public school and private school is not even public school and private school, but Decile 1 schools and higher Decile schools. It's just funding.
Right. This is not me attacking our people. This is not just me saying, this is not me saying we can do better. It's not the same as saying you're not doing good enough. Those are two different statements, and those are two different tones, and I'm not trying to slander or shit on our people for the ones of us who don't have the opportunities to do better.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, once you know that you're capable of achieving something, and it's realistic, and it's something workable, then you should do it. And you should look into doing it. It's like the Psalm 1 lady that I work with was feeling bad because she just played next term to put her 2 girls into a private school. And people were trying to make her feel bad about sending her girls to private school instead of letting them stay in public school with everybody else. And I said to her, look, if you have reached a point in life where you have the ability to do and provide and give better to your kids, and you know enough to want it for them, then fuck what everybody else thinks. You have a responsibility to give that to them. You want them to not... She decided, not because of what anybody else thinks, she decided that she can do better for them, so she wants to give them the best that she can give them in terms of an
Exactly.
education, and other people try to make her feel like shit for doing that. Okay, so just like you're trying to defend people and not make people feel bad for not being able to, just because not all of us can, it's not okay to shame or make the ones of us who can feel bad about being able to do so, because that's how we get the people who are going to create and make those spaces for the rest of us. Trying to do better and striving to do better for your people is not the same as leaving them behind and thinking you're better than them. And I feel like people don't always feel that way. Go ahead. Your face, they can't see your face, but I can see your face. And your face is telling me you have hella rebuttals right now. Go ahead.
I don't really know what to say, because that's saying that only the students in private school
No, not at all. I'm not saying that.
are gonna be the innovators, the
Nah.
business owners.
Listen, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. Like, kids who have less, a lot of times work harder to achieve and get more, because if the inspiration is right, they don't want to be in that situation, and they don't want their families to be in that situation. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
What you should be saying is whatever you feel is right for your kids, wherever that may be.
facts.
Private school, Montessori, public school, then that's what's right for your kids.
Thank you for correcting me. That's what I was trying to say. I appreciate that.
And if at any stage in your life you feel like a private school is what's going to suit your kids' needs better, then that's what you should.
That wasn't necessarily geared towards private school. That was any step up. You know what I mean, for your kids. Even if it's even if the step up is being able to come home early from work and help them study so they know you care about their education, that's a privilege. That's a step up. I'm not talking about private schools. I'm talking about any opportunity to help your kids do better and get farther, no matter what that is for you. It's the way to go.
I think the easiest solution, not even a solution, but it's just for like there not to be such a big distinction, big jump between public school and private school, is just for better opportunities to be present in public schools. Like the public school I went to didn't have any accounting class if you wanted to take accounting, and then that ties into the finance that we don't have.
Listen, that's a different.
They have no civics education, no classical studies. Like,
that's a different conversation, and that's our next episode. And you know what our next episode is?
what?
Politics, the way we affect the system, the importance of us engaging in politics and creating room for ourselves in those spaces, and why it matters. And I think that is a beautiful segue to end the episode. Are you good with where we're at, or would you like to have more of this conversation? I definitely think it's something
we can hit end, but we can.
Yeah, I think it's something we can come back to at a later date. Are you good with that? Are you good with this episode?
Yeah, good with this episode.
Okay, so we want to thank you guys again for joining us on the Coco Lesa podcast, for spending time with us in our home with our family and our little lady. We hope that this provided like some interesting conversations and discourse, no matter how you feel. You have anything you want to add?
Hit us up on Twitter with all your brown student struggles.
And
That'd be dope.
yeah, we definitely want to get some feedback. We want to hear what you think about this conversation and what you feel. So if you don't follow us on Twitter yet, if you don't follow us on Facebook or IG, hit us up, hit that like button, share some retweets, subscribe, get it going out there, and let us know how you feel about the conversation we're having and what you're thinking. All right, we'll talk to you guys next time, and thank you for joining us again on Coco Lesa.